Good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gents. Do I have a Dan Beans classic for you? Alright, big stuff. So I was at work today. Again, I have tomorrow off, thank the Lord. But I was thinking at work, because on my break, I watched Chazington's latest video. I'll put a link to it in the description. It's a good video, go watch it. But basically, it was about Hot Diggity Demon, who is if you don't know, he's an animator. He made some edgy stuff back in the day. I watched him as a kid. You definitely shouldn't have, but I did. Anyways, not the point. The real point is he had a very interesting point, and I'd like to talk about that. He was basically saying how the current internet landscape really isn't very accepting of change. And I think he's right on the money of that. Because though Hot Diggity Demon was an adult 8 years ago, or however many years ago when he made his controversial stuff, some people just like they refuse to believe he's changed. In my opinion, he's very clearly a different person now than he was 8 years ago. But a lot of people still bring up his past actions, and some of them definitely should be held against him. But obviously we shouldn't forget them, but I feel like we should forget them. Now, I will say, I'm not the targeted audience of the said controversial images, but so obviously I can't be the one to say, hey guys, let's forgive him, even though I'm a white dude with no relation to what is being targeted at all. Yeah, let's all forgive him. You guys just need to listen to me. But I feel like it doesn't matter how many more years go by or how long or how much time passes. He's always going to be known for that, and a group of people will never forgive him, even if he's shown clear signs of changing. You can't look at one post about Hot Diggity Demon without seeing Steven Juniverse, which is the one particular image. He made a worse one, but I'm definitely not saying that one. But I think that is like the current state of the internet, especially with how big cancel culture's gotten. And another thing is I think people's willingness to accept change in a person fully stems from how likable they are. Because I think people on the internet, and it's definitely more of a loud minority than a total population, because there's been many failed cancellation attempts. But I think the more likable someone is, the more willing people are to defend them. Because say, let's just for example Rakai. Not a lot of people like Rakai. Sorry if he's catching a stray here. But if Rakai did something right now that was offensive or not okay in some form, he'd be shunned off the internet purely because everyone already doesn't like him. So they're just looking for a reason to get him off the platform. And that's kind of sad, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like our opinions on someone shouldn't change after we find out something that happened a long time ago, because they're not the same person. And this is just my opinion. This is probably going to be one of my videos where definitely call me out if I'm being stupid. I'm just speaking my mind here, because I feel like these people that go on the witch hunts to find stuff that people did 8 years ago, why? I guess because you clearly have to not like the person if you're willing to do that much just to ruin their career. But if it was just, I keep saying 8 years ago, but 8 years ago, for example, what happens? You're acting like it's oh, people don't change, and that's just a horrible mindset to have. Because though you shouldn't think this way, realistically, we're human beings. If everyone already has it set in their mind that you're a horrible person and there's nothing you can do to change that, even if it was something you did 8 years ago, or even if it's something you do in the moment, and why should I go through all the trouble to change myself if no matter what I do from this point on, I'm gonna be known as the guy that did this, and there's no outliving it, there's no coming back from it. This is what no matter how much I change, how much I grow, how much I better myself, this will always be people's view of me, because they don't want to accept the fact that I've changed. And that's sad to me. And it's really unfortunate. Now, I'm a big advocate of you shouldn't better yourself for others. You should better yourself for yourself. but sometimes you genuinely don't see your flaws until they're pointed out to you. But if someone points out your flaws or something about you that's like bad, and it's just how you lived your whole life, and you realize like, oh my god, I'm hurting people, I need to change, and you genuinely go through the steps, you change for the better, and then you're greeted like, hey guys, I've been gone for a couple years, I've really reflected on myself, I'm a changed person. And obviously no one has to forgive anyone, but I feel like no matter what they did, they'd always be known as that guy, and everyone, no matter what they did, would change their opinions on the person. And I think a big issue with that is there's a lot of virtue signaling going on. And why I say that is because there's a lot of people who are not the target audience who seem, because it goes both ways, obviously. If you're not the targeted audience or someone who is supposed to take offense to it, you probably shouldn't be the one saying, hey guys, let's forgive this person, because you're not the one that is being hurt by that. But there's a lot of people out there who are speaking for others, and even though they're not the one that's offended, like, this could be an L take, and if it's an L take, let me know. But I just think there's a lot of virtue signaling out there where people act like they're some saint who's done no wrong, and that this is an irredeemable act. And I mean, sometimes it is. It really just depends, obviously. But this video is kind of scuffed. I don't script these, so I'm really repeating myself and just going out my head. It's just like, why, why do we live in a society that thinks change is this impossible task that no one can achieve? And why is there a whole subsection of the internet out there that's just looking for any dirt on any creator just to blow up their career? And it doesn't matter. Like, oh, and not to mention time periods. Like, back in 2015, the internet was edgier. That's just a fact. People said and did things that they now regret because it was funny back then, and now we've, as a society, come to realize that's really not okay. But hey, they did it, so guess what? Career over. And it doesn't always work, but when it does, it does. And it's just sad to see, because you can see you can see some of these people, because obviously not everyone actually has changed, and some people are still the same person they were. But like these creators that have gone through and they've realized the error in their ways, and they've really overcame. They're a new person. They're a better person. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because you did that 8 years ago, and obviously change is not possible in today's day and age. So you're gone, buddy, off the internet. But back to my point of, like, if people like you more, then you're probably not gonna get canceled. It is so true. And I honestly, I'm a perpetrator of that too. Back when Dream and Technoblade beef was going on, I loved watching Technoblade's videos. I didn't involve myself in the Dream SMP community at all, but I just liked Techno's content, so I watched it. And from the beginning, I never liked Dream. I'm not going to be like one of those people like, oh, I always knew there was something off with him. I can't believe I was right. But when all the cheating allegations came out with speedrunning, I was the first to be like, yep, I don't even need to see the evidence. He's guilty, just because I didn't like the guy. And like that's wrong. That is so wrong of me. And I'd like to think I'm a lot better now than I was back then. I was also a kid back then, so take that as you will. But like, it's just silly, because like, just because I didn't like this person, I was gonna act like what they did was the most evil thing ever, and he deserves all the punishment he's gonna get from it, even though it's Minecraft, bro. It was not that serious. This is just me exaggerating. And this happens a lot, because like there are some creators out there that have such a big fan base and community. Like, for example, I don't know if any of you are involved in the Fortnite competitive scene, but this pro named Peterbot, like 2 years ago, ripped the hard R, and because he's the best Fortnite pro in the world, there were so many people in the comment section defending him, like stepping up for him, like, oh, he was just a kid. It was 2 years ago, by the way. Not to virtue signal myself, but like, there's just, you guys get what I'm saying, I hope. But he was getting defended, and he faced no repercussions for it just because he's everyone's favorite Fortnite bro. Like, that's crazy to me. That's insane. There are people who said that word 8 years ago who are no longer, or 8, 10, 15 years ago, who are no longer allowed to set foot on the platform, but because they're not as popular as he was. And that to me is like genuinely disrespectful. But anyways, that's my 10 minutes up. I hope you enjoyed this more scuffed video. That was another Dan Beans classic. Bye bye.